you strong.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, Soul Man and Friends people. Stephen here from the Soul Man and Friends, and this morning we have got a fantastic episode for you with our very lovely Susan Watson from Perfect Solutions Coaching, and she is talking today all about developing a positive mindset. So even if you missed Monday's episode and you're just watching today, this is really, really going to help you. So let's see Susan. Enjoy the show. Good morning, lovely Mrs. Watson. How are you?
I'm great, Stephen. Thank you again for asking me along. I'm still laughing at that photo. I'm going to send you a new one. I can't stand it.
We've just been having the best laugh backstage. Honestly, it's so funny. I was telling Susan that I'm going to ask her 11 quick-fire questions. And she says, give me an example of one of the questions. And I'm not going to share what I shared, but she was like, I'm not saying that!
Yes, I wouldn't.
So, I've got 11 questions for you before we get started this morning, just as a bit of an icebreaker and just to make everybody giggle that little bit, because we're all about good energy and making everybody laugh first thing in the morning. So, Susan, are you ready for your
try my best.
Okay. Question number 1. When you're not working, what do you like to do in your spare time?
Not very exciting. I either sleep or study. Sleep is my most favourite thing. I could sleep really about 16 hours a day easily if I was given the chance. I am a lazy bit.
Question number 2. What are you currently reading?
It's
going to be some sort of encyclopedia, isn't it?
It's no fun stuff, though, eh? I've got 2 books on the go. One's about grief and one's about depression. It's hardly looked in books.
Next question. What was the first concert that you ever attended?
It was a mud concert at Blackpool Tower when I was 13, and Les Gray, the singer, waved to me. And the reason I know that is because there was only 3 of us at the concert. They had just started.
Next one is, what was your first job?
First job was a sort of waitress kitchen hand at 13 in the Poppin Cafe in the High Street. And that was hard work, but you know what? Good experience for me to learn what it would be like to have a job.
Yeah, brilliant. Next one is, what is your favourite word? I know this.
Am I allowed to say it though?
You can say, you can sense it.
Right, it starts with an F and ends in a K. That's my favourite word. It's a word I use most often, normally followed by an off.
Love it. What was the one thing that you are excited about for 2021?
The thing that really excites me, really excites me, is I cannot wait until the airport's open and I can go to the States to see my son and grandchildren. For me, that is, cannot wait to get there. I'm off.
That's lovely.
And it's not like I'm feeling, I can't see them just now. I'm just looking forward to it. I can see them. And that causes me a lot of excitement.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say getting back to the Soul Man and Friends, but hey ho, you're fine.
You're below that, Stephen.
What is your most used emoji?
A heart.
Oh, that's nice.
It's a heart. except we put a heart on the back of everything. 2 wee hearts that are crossing over.
What is your... No, sorry. If you could win an Olympic medal for any sport, real or fake, what would it be?
That's never going to happen. I got kicked out of gym, as we used to call it at school, when I was about 12. I was hopeless. Couldn't run, couldn't do anything. What would it be? I'd love to be able to swim. I can't swim.
Okay, you know,
No, I'd love to be able to swim. So I'm going to pick that.
you can still learn. That can be your 2021, no? What is your hidden talent?
Oh, that'd be telling. Let me think. Sorry, I can't say. I can't do that.
You're a voodoo high priestess, aren't you? That's what it is.
Well, actually, if I was to say anything about that, probably people don't know me as I've got a big interest in voodoo. I have got a big interest, yeah.
And I've seen your voodoo dolls as well.
You have, that's right.
Scary things that they are. They're horrible looking things.
No, they're all to do with love and good feelings. They might not look like that with their funny faces, but they are.
Next one is, if someone could play you in a movie of your life, who would you want it to be?
Gee whiz. I'd want it to be somebody who's a bit scatty and a bit crazy, made loads of mistakes but laughed a lot. I can't think of anyone like that. I'd have to give more thought to that. Somebody that's a bit mad, because I might seem really calm and sensible and that sitting here, but I never used to be. So it'd have to be somebody who's very emotive and ran into situations without a thought of a consequence.
Any suggestions, guys? Please do put them in the comments and who you think should play Susan in a movie of her life. And then the last question before we get on to today's subject is, who or what has been your biggest teacher in life?
Biggest teacher in life. See, all my stuff isn't happy stuff. All my stuff's really pretty shit, actually. It's the language. My biggest lesson in life was my own rock bottom. 3 divorces, being homeless, having no money, debts over my head. And you know what? That actually, it sounds like that would be a horrible situation, but that for me was really empowering. It actually changed my whole outlook on life. It did. So having rotten experiences made me the happy person I am today. That's rubbish.
No, I think that's wonderful, because I think that's something, I was speaking about that in my vlog this morning, that, you know, it's when we're going through the crappy experiences that we're growing and changing, isn't it? So
made me a better person, because I actually think in many ways I'm quite selfish and inward looking. And it changed that and made me sort of look outward and see how other people think and feel more. Or I wouldn't be doing the job that I'm doing now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm sorry for my rubbish answers, but
not at all. Good answers.
Very exciting.
They're good. So today's episode is all about developing a positive mindset, and we spoke a bit about this on Monday, and we're going to speak about it again today. So if you are watching this, guys, this episode, it's all very much about giving you hints, tips, and methods in which you can really help to develop a more positive life, isn't it, Susan?
Yeah, it is. And this is part 2. It's following on, really, from Monday's episode.
Cool. I'll just hand over to you then, and please do ask any questions as well, guys, and we will get to your comments, I promise.
You'll notice I'm doing that a lot. I'm really sorry, but my glasses keep sliding down. It's driving me crazy. I don't know what to have them putting them into my nose. Anyway, let's get back to work. So today, part 2 of developing a positive mindset. And it's all about hints and tips, what we say. So I'm going to briefly touch on what we covered last week, just to highlight, just so you know what's actually in the last recording. Talked about self-regulation, the importance of dialing down stress to get that thinking brain back online. That's number 1. Unhelpful thinking styles, we covered that, how to recognise your own way of thinking that wasn't helpful to you. We talked about challenging your beliefs and how your beliefs aren't necessarily true and you should challenge them. Recognising your critical voice, that wee voice in our head, and also the possible childhood connections we covered as well. And I'm going to just touch on that a wee bit just before I get into it, because I think it's important going back to the possible childhood connections and critical voice just for 5 minutes. I just want to give you an example of how that would work, because really the voice, the message that you're given, even although it's negative and it's self-critical, it could actually, I think I touched on, to protect you, to keep you safe. So if you, and it's normally got a message in it, a lesson in it. So if you think, by, for example, to go back when I was a little girl, one of the phrases you used to hear all the time was children should be seen and not heard, right? And that was a common. And if you had visitors or anybody in your house and you spoke, by God, you got a row or a slap, a smack or something, you were not to interfere with adults, right? That message, that memory could go into your head. I shouldn't talk in front of people because I'm going to get a smack or get into trouble. So when I'm in a group of people, I must be quiet and not speak, or you know, I'm in danger here. And as you get older, you don't need that lesson, that memory, but that's still in your head. So when you go in, you could potentially go into a group of people and suddenly find you cannot speak. You are frozen in fear and you cannot communicate with people in a group and feel really uncomfortable. But what that is a message you had as a child. Don't speak in a group. You know, you're in trouble if you do that.
Definitely, actually, because I remember very clearly being told children should be seen and not heard. And, you know, I have to admit, when I started publicly speaking, and you know, when I started publicly speaking, I was about 16 or 17. And I remember it being this huge, big thing. It was a massive, massive thing to get over.
Yeah. So that's how the critical mind works. It's normally been something that's put in to protect us, and then actually becomes a hindrance. It's stopping us doing things as we get older. Another example might be, just imagine going out and you have a relationship with someone like your big first love, and it's the most amazing thing in the world, and your heart gets broken, right? That message in your head is, all men and women are the same. Didn't get involved with somebody, it just breaks your heart, get yourself vulnerable, hurt. And you get a bit wary getting involved with people. But then just imagine you meet somebody else and you take that chance and you fall in love and you get broken-hearted again. Then that voice is saying to you, see, I told you not to come. Don't let anyone close to you. Build that wall up. And that's how you come across people who very much feel as if they do have a wall. They can't move on and they can't let people get close to them because they've got that wee voice in their head saying to them, no, it's too dangerous here. You know, you're going to get really hurt. Don't let anyone close to you. So you can see how experiences and memories actually get mixed into that critical voice.
Yeah, definitely. Teresa's saying there that she found it difficult to speak to older people when she went into adulthood as well. So
that really ties into that. Teresa, absolutely get that. I do.
It's amazing though that we've got this whole generation of people who, you know, they're all living their lives based on past experience, though, you know, that isn't actually relevant. So it's mind-blowing stuff, Susan, isn't it?
Yeah. But if you can start to realise that that little voice is linked to past experiences and you can start to challenge it and rationalise it, that's when you can start to make the changes and start to actually let it go. So that's why it's important to self-regulate, get your thinking brain on, and actually question that voice and really question it and challenge it. Don't let it get away with it. It's a wee troublemaker.
Do you find that when you're working with people that it's very easy for them to let go of these old behaviours of thinking?
The thing is, it doesn't. When people come to see me, they're hoping for something that's going to work instantly. Right?
Yeah.
And a lot of the methods I do will help relieve trauma and anxiety and things like that really quickly. But we're talking about really habitual thoughts that somebody's had for a lifetime, or they've had like a traumatic experience. You can't just remove these thoughts in a minute. It takes work, effort, and people have to spend time on it. But the absolute first key is to recognise what's going on in your head. That's why I always say write it down. Remember us in that last week? Write the thoughts down, write the situation, and think about what the beliefs around about that and challenge it.
I've actually done a wee bit of work on the back of that. Susan had sent me this very, very helpful audio,
Oh yeah.
and it was all about, recognizing the inner child and letting go of things that have, caused you that stress. And I'd shared last week how, when I was very small, I had this difficult relationship with my dad because he was very critical, and he would be, my dad would say things like, oh, you wee poof, you wee sissy boy, you wee this and you wee that. And it really had this huge, big effect on me because I was always a very sensitive child. I'm a very sensitive adult as well, So it really, really got to me. And on the back of what we done last week on Monday, actually, I really feel like I'm breaking through that now, that I'm starting to let go and, forgive, I suppose. So yeah, thank you for that.
That's good, Stephen. That is good, because it will help you move on and let things go. And you'll go into a happier life, and that's the most important thing. Eh? Stop beating yourself up over things.
It's crazy how we idolise our parents when they're just people, aren't they?
I know. And you know what? Mostly they're probably people just doing the best and coping with their own inner voice and all the things that are whispering in their ear. And they've got their beast of their own burdens, if you like. You think their parents should be like wonderful and perfect, but God, think about they're probably dealing with themselves, making all the mistakes based on their childhood and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
You just don't, but you don't think of that because you just can't. They're your caregiver, people you're looking for love and safety from.
It really makes you reflect on how you interact with your own children, though. I think that's certainly been my big thing this week, is actually just listening to them and, not being critical, because it's dead easy to say, right, come on, I'm busy, be quiet, go and sit down, instead of actually just taking a moment just to listen to them. Because I remember standing beside my mum and dad going, Mum, 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 Dad, leave me alone!
But you know what? It was a different. When I was younger and I was even when I had my kids, when I was a mother of children, it was a different world. Mm-hmm. And all the things we know now and the things that we're getting told that we should do and shouldn't do, nobody actually even knew about that. Honestly, I was a grumpy, moaning face. So I was, no doubt about it.
Moaning monster, I think you called yourself, didn't you?
It probably wasn't even just a morning monster. I think it was an everyday monster, to be honest with you. Just spent my day moaning all the time. But that isn't no any better. So I always say to people, whatever you've done, however you've behaved, remember you can only do the best you can with what you knew at that time.
For sure.
Hindsight's a wonderful thing.
And saying there that also had some difficult situations with her dad, I'm not good enough mindset, defo stems from them stuff like getting 103 out of 105 in a test and being asked what happened to the other 2 points. That's a biggie though, isn't it?
Yeah, that's something, and write it down, challenge it, and really think about your belief about that. And the more you do, the exercises we're going to cover today as well, that'll help you. But it does take effort and it takes time. And then you'll realise, like I say, I was going to use my F word, my favourite word, that you can look back on the past and I'm going to say you can draw a line in the past with a smile. You don't need to say the words that I would use.
I'm just going to put that up just so...
Yeah, because it's important. I want to move on. I want to talk a bit about visualisation, because visualisation is a huge part in the way I changed my life. And I think it can actually really help others. So I'm just going to carry on talking while Stephen's doing his stuff. So your thoughts can actually change your body chemistry. Your thoughts have been scientifically proven to promote healing and to repair the body and the mind, right? So if you think that your thoughts can do that, think what harm constant negative thoughts can do. So that's really important to think about that. What they can do to your emotional and physical body. So it's important to work. I don't know what that is. You get that high-pitched screech. It's gone now anyway. Anyway, What if you succeed or don't succeed? It's all down to your choices. Now, I know I've said before, I come across as quite brutal about that, but at the end of the day, you're the only person that can make the changes really that you want. So you've got to put the time and effort into it. So start to experiment with what we've discussed about your thoughts and beliefs. And see if you can come up with an image or what you really want to achieve, how you want to be, how you want to feel, what you want. So you've got to get that sort of real image, real belief of what you want to achieve, because that's important. And then what you do is you focus on that image every day until it really becomes clear to you. I'm going to explain how to do this in a minute, because don't underestimate in any way the power of visualization. It's probably one of the most important steps you can take in transforming your life, because you can achieve everything you want and more if you start to build in this positive imagery into your life. Changes your thoughts, changes your mind, opens up new opportunities for you. But you've got to use all your senses. So that's your taste, your touch, seeing it, make it as real as possible. Because remember, what I always say is your mind believes everything that you imagine is a truth and everything you tell yourself. So the key is visualize when you're not going to be disturbed. So it could be even standing up at a bus stop. If you're on a bus, sitting on a bus, I used to do it on the bus all the time. In the shower, lying in your bed, whatever's right for you when you can get time, do it as often as you can. You're re-encoding, reprogramming that mind, rewiring your brain. Do it for about 10 minutes a day if you can, minimum. And then extra if you want to do that. Just be nice and comfortable. Do a bit of your self-regulation, your neck noodle, your breathing to get yourself all nice and relaxed. And then just start to see that picture in your mind. Now, don't see it as in, that's how I want to do it. See yourself living and going through the day or doing the actions or whatever it is, doing it comfortably, doing it well, feeling absolutely easy with yourself and filled with confidence and all the emotions that you want to feel. Really make it bright. You're in there and you're sensing it, and give yourself to achieve that goal. Now, I'm going to explain a wee bit how much that worked for me. If you've heard me talk before, you'll know that I had really bad anxiety, particularly a social anxiety. Couldn't stand going into a room full of people and the thought of people looking at me having to speak. I immediately thought I would be judged badly, I'd be a failure, myself, all these things. So when I was a manager in financial services, I had to talk to people, a room full of people. I had to talk to my team. Nobody would ever know, because I never told them the absolute torture that was for me. I wouldn't be able to sleep for a week before it. I'd be dripping in sweat, I'd be shaking, my mouth would be all dry. All this high activation anxiety. But I never avoided it. I used to go in. And this is what I'd done with visualization. And it got me over it. 5 minutes every day. I would visualize myself walking out on a stage. Now, my body's straight and tall. It's a confident body. Feeling powerful and empowered, feeling really happy, really ready to do this, walk on a stage. And I'd be facing a crowd. And it wouldn't just be a room, it'd be a crowd of people. And in my mind, I call it Go Disney. You make it as strong and big as possible. I would see myself being as a presenter, public speaker to all this room full of people. I'd noticed that my words were flowing confidently, there was no dry mouth, and I felt really good about myself. Everybody's smiling at me and I'm casting over their eyes. They're all clapping. Everybody's cheering me and saying, wow, Susan, you're fantastic. Right? Now, I know this doesn't happen in financial sector, but in my mind, I'd see people throwing roses at me. That's the Go Disney bit, right? Throwing roses, and people were coming up and asking me for my autograph, patting me on the back. You know, my God, Susan, you're the best ever. But what this was doing was confidence building. Yeah. And the reason I can roll that off exactly is I done that every day, probably for about a year, 5 minutes every day. And I can still visualize it as I'm talking it in my mind. But I went from someone who would hardly be able to leave the loo with anxiety to I could quite comfortably stand up and speak to people now. And if you think of how serious my social anxiety was, it impacted over 40 years of my life. Well, now I can sit here and chat to everybody in a live stream. Though that just wouldn't have happened. And the biggest thing to change that was visualization. And there's no doubt about that at all. And also, when you get that nervous feeling in your stomach, instead of going, oh, God, I feel really nervous, right, I used to say to myself, oh, look, I'm really excited about this. This is really good. I'm really excited. What a chance this is for me. Changing the message to your brain. So that's really, that can really help, Stephen. It really can.
Yeah, like I get it. You know, I do quite a lot of. You know, sometimes I've been standing in front of, you know, up to 1,000 people in an auditorium. You know, doing what I do, and before I go on stage, before the curtains open, I'm standing backstage, and I'm like, whoa, I feel the butterflies, I feel the nerves, and I'm like, let it build. That's good energy, rather than going, oh my God.
And you're right. You know what? That is the absolute key. There's good energy. Well, there's energy. You can use it to benefit you, or you can use it to pull you back. Because we all need that bit of adrenaline to give us that spur on feeling.
I think it's the same with any kind of difficult conversations that you need to have or whatever with people. You know, you can turn that into something that's really positive just by concentrating on that being a good energy, going into the situation thinking this is something that I'm going to be able to change rather than something that you're having to challenge.
Even if I was to go like have a difficult conversation with someone, I could, for example, visualize myself walking the room, doing the introduction, but it wouldn't be so much on how the conversation's going to flow because you don't have control over that because it's a two-way conversation. But what you can see yourself staying in a state of calm, logical thinking, and managing your emotions very well. So that is how you could use visualization there. So that no matter what they say to you, no matter what their reaction, staying in that state of calm and can absolutely manage it and control it. That's the difference there.
That's I suppose that's a leafy lane if you go down with that, you know. But it's definitely something that I teach people to do now as well. You know, I say to people, you know, see when you're having to have a challenging conversation with someone, it's only challenging because it feels uncomfortable for you. You know, when you actually sit down, chances are when you sit down with that person and you keep that very calm mindset, you can then start to say, you know, Susan, are you okay?
Remember as well, relaxing your body. By having a fully relaxed muscle body will calm your mind. So if you're sitting going to have a difficult conversation, just take a breath and absolutely relax your body. Switches off stress and anxiety, your thinking brain comes back on and you can deal with it properly. In a way that is in line with how you want to manage it, without having to regret it and give yourself a good slap.
Yeah, see if I think back to my career before any of my Soul Man stuff, I remember sitting, because like a huge part of my job was having to like discipline people, and I hate that word now, you know, because it's not about discipline, it's about like support, you know. But I remember sitting with people that were very highly charged, who were, you know, under the spotlight for all different things like theft and all, like many different things, and they would come in like reading.
I used to do disciplinaries as well. I know what you're talking about, and you're right though. It should be support for change rather than beating somebody up.
Yes, but let's move on because we're like going down this lane.
I know, right. Talk now. A couple of exercises about understanding your thinking style. So we've touched on black and white thinking, but I want you to think again, just touching on it, black and white thinking can impact your life because it can result in a social anxiety and a fear of being judged. So self-regulation and confidence methods of self-care come in, because it's really important to know your own value and know your own worth. And you'll find that people who have social anxiety in particular or have black and white thinking will actually feel inferior to others and they'll judge themselves badly. And it isn't the case. Work on this and you will actually find your place in the world and feel better. Now, that's a big subject on its own to cover, but I'm just going to throw in there, excuse me, a bit of self-promotion. On my Perfect Solution Coaching page, this week I'm running a free 5-day self-esteem challenge to help people work on that and improve and actually recognise their own value and worth, because it's really important. Everybody deserves to know that.
Yeah.
So practice acceptance. Acceptance is so important. Think about, are you comfortable with compliments? Do you find it easy to say no to people when they ask you to do something you really don't want to? Or do you find yourself just agreeing to do something? Because as part of self-care, to actually be able to say to somebody, no, I can't do that for you, because you don't stretch yourself too far. And what I would say is, if you're uncomfortable with accepting compliments, you'll find yourself, like someone says to me, "Oh, Susan, that's a nice jumper." I might say, "Oh yeah, it was just a cheap one. It only cost me. It was in a sale or something like that." I won't say, "Oh, thank you. That's really nice." You'll start to try and reduce that compliment by the phrases you say after it. So practice just saying, "Thank you. Thank you. That was really nice of you."
Doing that though, don't you?
Huh?
So many people, you say, "Oh, you look really nice today," and they're like, "Oh, this old thing," or "Ugh." I've even done it with you. I'm like, "Susan, you look really cool today," and you're like, "Ugh."
People say to me, "Susan, you've had your hair cut. Your hair's like really nice." I'll say, "Okay, it's just because it's just been washed." There's always a just because after it. But I'm getting better. I'm getting better, and I'm learning to say thank you to people. But again, for me, that's a lifelong journey,
Yeah.
because the minute somebody gives you a compliment, spotlights are on you, and it's been comfortable with having that spotlight on you. And if your negative thinking pattern is, "I'm not good enough, I'm never good enough," you didn't like that spotlight on you. Do you mean you really don't? So practice thank you, and just by doing that, you're increasing your comfort with being in that spotlight. That's an important thing. It's a small thing, but it can be a massive thing for some people. And let's talk about hoarding now, because less is more. And I'm not necessarily talking about what we hoard in our house, what we hoard inside here. You can simplify your life by paying more attention to the small things. And that will create more positive experiences in your life. I think we touched on previously about think about the things that make you smile. What do you enjoy doing the most? Might not be huge things, but there'll be things that bring you a wee bit of joy. Figure out how to peel back on all the activities that you do, and it may not just be for yourself, it may be activities you do for others that clutter your mind and clutter your time, that create stress in your life. Things that are really no longer needed, or things that aren't you're doing them because other people want you to do them, but in fact they're not really that important in the moment. So you're spreading yourself thin. If you spread yourself thin, you get stressed, you get anxious. And I'll just throw in here is that a depressed mind is a stressed mind. So if you don't manage your stress and then stress levels, your toxic stress, spreading yourself too thin, you will start to feel things like anger, anxiety, low self-esteem. But if it continues, the likelihood is you'll start to feel depressed as well, because your thoughts influence your mood. That's really important. It's absolutely important. So think about, make a list of all the things you do, all the things you do for yourself, all the things you do out of habit, things you do for other people, and really have a look and see, what can I reduce here? What am I actually doing that I don't need to do anymore? Does that make sense to you, Stephen?
Absolutely, most definitely. I'm actually thinking, I've not got a pen on me, which I normally do, but I'm actually thinking I need to do a wee bit of that myself.
Mm-hmm. It's like getting the mental skip out, bin it all, get rid of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because it'll wear you down. Absolutely wear you down. This has all been about passionate to yourself, being your own good friend, and stop beating you up. Give yourself the time you deserve to live a well, happy life, instead of giving it all to people. You know what? It's good to help people. It really is. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, but help people when they really need you, not because you think they need your help, because it makes you feel better. Does that make sense?
Yeah, most definitely.
And I think that's quite an important thing. And you'll find that that definitely make a difference in your life. I want to move on quickly because I know the time, and I want to get a couple of these wee exercises in.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to talk about the rumination is when we've got constant thoughts going through our heads. And I've talked before about feed your mind the good stuff, because it's a great wee exercise to feed your mind the good stuff. So what you do is you play the positive what if game. And you get a pen and paper and you imagine good things happening. So you write down, like, what if Then you write down a good thing after that. What if that happened? So it's the what if game because it's always what if. Then after that, you write down good things that potentially could happen, opportunities that are going to come for you. Then you think, what if everything turned out better than I hoped for? Because people with negative thoughts tend to think in the future things are going to be bad. So what you're going to do, what if that didn't happen? And what if this happened instead? So you start to write down positive statements. And then you think about, what am I able to do now? So what is needed now to let go of these thoughts that I'm having and actually make these what ifs possible? What thoughts are holding you back from making these what ifs possible? Because you can actually change anything. Another thing is, what if you were a superhero? Let's get your mind connecting with this child in here. What if you could save the day and vanquish all your fears? What would your superhero name be? Look on yourself as your own superhero and think of your own wee superhero name. There's a question for you, Stephen. What's your superhero name?
The Soul Man.
There you are.
Here to help humanity.
Right. Superhero Soul Man. Then you would write down, what is the superpowers that you have? What is your superpowers? What can you do to change your life and change the world for others? And then you could be really, let's make it fun and design your own superhero costume. You can do that. Yeah. But this is all alerting your brain to the good things.
I love it.
And what if...
Hey, girl, how cool is that?
There you are. Yay, empathy girl.
Well, everybody, give us your superhero names while you're here.
Do you know what? What if your wildest and best fantasies came true? What would actually happen? What would happen to your world, your life, around you? How would you actually feel? This is letting yourself really see opportunities and what is possible for you. Because we sort of miss that a lot. So that's good. Write down your automatic negative thoughts. They're known as ants, little ants going about your brain. You can see why they're called ants, because sometimes they never stop. They run through our mind. Write down your automatic negative thoughts. Write them down because you'll start to see patterns. You'll start to see that certain situations or certain people activate these automatic thoughts. And then what you do is you can then go back over and recognise them, identify them, and rewrite them, reframe them. So if they're saying, sorry, what was that?
Or do that.
I know. Yes, that's what I do. Oh, yes, but I'll leave you to find your own way to do that.
So you're saying rewrite your negative thoughts then, yeah.
So if it's anything I don't like myself, actually write it down. Well, actually, that's not true. I do like myself because this is something good about me. And write something good about yourself. Write compliments for yourself. Be your own cheerleader. I always say that. Imagine your mindset as a hat. You've got a negative hat, take that off and let's put the positive hat on. Let's try the positive hat on for a while. Why not every day try and introduce a new positive word into your daily language? And try and use that positive word every day as much as you can. The next day, pick a new positive word and introduce that into your language and try and use it as often as you can. Name that thought. So if you've got a thought that pops up all the time and it's quite negative and holds you back, give it a name, give it a nickname, give it a funny nickname to tame it. And remember, you can change that voice. So if somebody's saying to me, Susan, you're really stupid, I could make it, Susan, you're really stupid. Then it just loses its power. Do the power pose. Stretch and be strong. Yeah, if you think if somebody's whispering in your ear, Susan, you're really stupid. Susan, you can't do that. It's got a power. But if I was to change it to Susan, you're really stupid, the instant it just becomes ridiculous. Why would I listen to that? Get lost, go in F, take a walk. And just decide that, you know what, all these thoughts do not have a place in your life. That's a biggie. I'm going to change this. They do not have a place in my life. I deserve better. And why not draw something that represents that negative feeling? Just draw it. Just draw it. And then that representation that you have, that you've drawn, why not put a funny face on it, or a hat, or do you know what I mean? You can change it through art. You can do that too. And just put stickers or colour it in or whatever, just change it. Because the thing is, colour has been proven in your alpha brainwaves, so that it changes how you see the world. So when colour is actually transmitted from our eyes to our brain, the brain releases hormones affecting our emotions, our mind, and our energy levels. Now, I'm not a colour therapist, although there is colour therapy out there, but I know that blue has a tremendous power to manage stress, calm a busy mind, which I find really interesting because I use blue all the time. When I'm got pain, emotional pain, anything, I imagine blue filling my body. And that's right, we've got blue all around here on this presentation. True though, it's really true. Blue has also been proven to slow down your heart rate, lowers blood pressure, and reduces anxiety. So even having blue about you, or wearing a blue colour, or even having blue paper. It's a blue sheet of you can get coloured paper to look at. Green is linked to nature and calm and serenity. And yellow is the colour of the sun and happiness. And yellow is actually known as the happiest colour in the world. So if anyone is feeling a bit low mood, you can use colour. I once trained with a psychologist who had said that someone with depression who finds it hard to get out of bed, and I've never used this, but I'm just remembering he told me this. He said you should get them to put yellow paper and colourful paper on their ceiling, because as they're lying in their bed, the ceiling, that colour's affecting their mood and their thoughts. It changes their energy level. So that's quite interesting. I actually should do another course on colour therapy. Do you know what? Because I think that would be really useful. But it's something I've never delved really deeply into. But I absolutely know that it can change so much. So it's really interesting.
Colour's a big thing, because I remember when I had my session with you, one of my first sessions with you, and you'd said, "Give it a colour."
I use colour for that.
And then you started pulling the colour out of me. And then you started change. You were like, "Now change the colour," and it really did change how I felt about the situation.
That's the kinetic shift method that I use. You know what? That I think I use that with most of my clients because it's just wonderful. It is. You pull out. It sounds weird to say to people that you can pull out their pain, but it's true. You can pull out the pain and replace it with something nicer. I'm talking about emotional memories, thoughts, feelings. I like it.
Me too. Teresa's saying that yellow's the Japanese colour of harmony.
How nice is that? We all need a bit more harmony. I'm trying to think if I've got any yellow in here. I don't think I've got a lot of yellow in my office, actually. Maybe I should start bringing in more yellow. Thank you, Diane. You always say lovely things. Thank you.
It is gold, though. I think there's loads of really helpful tips in this surgery, and it's really just about turning those negative thoughts to really positive thoughts, isn't it?
The first stage is knowing that you've got them. Some people just go through life without even realising that it is their negative thoughts. But you know what? See, if you change them, it changes everything. It changes how you see yourself, how your relationships with other people, your decisions, your whole world just sort of changes. It really does, without a doubt.
See, the other day, and I think it's always really important to share our own experiences, Susan, because we go through all these things as well, don't we?
So, aye, absolutely.
The other day I was sitting and I just felt just so down. I was like, I could not get myself out of it. And then just remembering, all the things that we speak about, right, what things can you do to self-regulate? What things can you do to turn this around? And what could have been a day where I just said, that F word, F it. I'm going to lie on the couch all day and I'm going to do nothing. And, because it's very easy to do that right now because we're all working from home. What I done was I put on some great music, went upstairs, splashed some cold water on my face, came down, made myself a coffee, danced about the living room a wee bit.
Hey!
And it changes everything. So I think that's gold, when we're going through these difficult thoughts or these difficult emotional periods. It's so easy to get dragged into it and pulled into it, but just flipping it changes it, doesn't it?
I was out here in my office yesterday, and I was doing that exam for the depression course that I was doing. And I thought, right, before I do this exam, I always go to music. Music's my go-to. So I was in my wee office, and I was blasting Imagine Dragons, right? And I was singing away to myself, and I was doing a wee dance up into my office. And on my door, I've got the blinds on all the office, but the door, I hadn't closed the door blinds. So my husband's outside having a cigarette, and all I could see is I'm shaking his head, and I'm like, woo, all over the place. But it puts me in a really good, clear mindset. And I opened the door, and so he says to him, "Can you hear me singing?" And he was like, "No," because I'm watching you dancing, Susan, right? And he just shook his head, and I goes, "Do you know what? But I feel really good." I said, and that's what matters, because I'm a rubbish dancer.
Nikki and Scott would get on so well because they would definitely have lots of similarities. They'd be like, "You married to a nut job too, aye."
Oh, he thinks I'm the weirdest person ever. Absolutely. But you know what? I'm thinking, oh God, I need to get my mind on. I need to do this exam. And then just blast the music, dancing about, singing away for about 10, 15 minutes. Loved it. I actually just had a really good day, actually. It changes everything, eh? It does.
Absolutely. And the next concert that you're going to go to is Imagine Dragons with me, because we've both, like Susan and I love Imagine Dragons because their music's just so uplifting. So when they're in Scotland, we're going to go, right?
We'll see. We'll see.
You're getting dragged along whether you like it or no, kicking and screaming.
The last concert I was at was Motorhead. That was my last one. I think that was my 50th, actually. So that'd be 11 years ago. My son took me to Motorhead for my 50th because I love heavy metal music. Eh?
We can go for your 70th then to see Imagine Dragons. When's that next year?
Watch it.
I'm only joking. So yeah, Susan, what's next? Questions? Because we've got
questions. Let's see if anybody's got any questions, or if they've got any suggestions that they would like me to cover on Monday. They can do that as well, because I'd like to do these workshops on things that are useful to people. So rather than me just saying I'll do it on this, maybe people are I'd like to have this subject. I'm open to hearing that.
Yeah, questions or suggestions for Susan for any future surgeries that you would like to see, because we're going to be here for the next 4 weeks.
Yeah, so I'll need suggestions.
We never run out of things to talk about, though. There's so much that we could go through.
And I can pretty much cover everything. I've been trained in lots of different. I have so much information that I can share.
That's Vaughan Leslie saying music definitely helps. And Teresa, we quote there, "If you can't change your situation, change your attitude." Maya.
And that's without a doubt. And I have to say about the music, even when I look back over my life, in the darkest times I had, it was always music that I turned to. And it was always music that, I don't know, calmed me, if you like.
Do you know, I remember years and years ago, I think I was 18 and I had just came out of a terrible relationship, and there was a song that was being played all the time on the radio, and it was, the Pink song, "Just Like a Pill."
Yeah.
Instead of making me better, and I remember that song, pushed me out of that really difficult phase of my life. And I'm sure that everybody watching this will have one song that's pushed you out of a difficult phase in your life.
Well, when I was listening to Thank You, Anne, Thank You.
Thank you.
Try it, put it into practice. The music that I listened, because it was quite And I'm talking about, it wasn't heavy rock music, it was real heavy metal. Sometimes I really like death metal and things like that. So it was all words like, get them, cut their heads off. It wasn't nice, lovable songs I was listening to. It was quite extreme metal.
That's good though, because I suppose it really whatever the music is that's resonating with you at the time, I suppose it's important.
It was more because I played it so loud that you should just bounce off my brain, literally.
Yeah.
And because there was nothing else in my brain, I couldn't think about anything else. I couldn't imagine anything else. This music was boom, 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 boom in my brain. So
another amazing song that really transports me back to very happy times as well, because I suppose music can take us to really happy times, was when I was little. My mum used to listen to Shalimar Uptown Festival, right? And she would shuffle, she would do the shuffle dance in the living room. And I always remember, like, that was such a happy memory for us, because my mum was like, she was like dancing like nobody's watching. She was like, her heart was like filling the room, and you could feel it. It was tangible.
You've just taken me back to a memory, way, 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 way back. And it was the Pretenders song, Back on the Chain Gang. And I was a single parent with my kids, and they were just wee totes. And we just shut the curtains, put that on, and I can just picture my daughter and my son's dancing on my feet. We used to put that on, and they used to stand on my feet. And we used to take turns each dancing up and down the living room. So there you are, it's a wee memory I've thought of for a while.
Yeah. I also loved Alice Cooper and AC/DC, and it's crazy how different genres and different music can change our whole attitude. Mm-hmm. Claire's saying there that mine was Little Lion Man. I need to look at that. I've never seen that song before or heard that song.
Maybe Claire would. I don't know it's a Little Lion Man. Is that the name of the song? There's a band that sings it, or is that a sing? Yeah. I've Claire, never heard it either.
That's who that is, because I want to listen to that. Diane saying, I use colour to tap into my emotions, wearing blue at the throat when I don't feel confident to speak, for instance. I'd love more on colour therapy. So yeah, that's a good one. We could do one on colour therapy for sure. Fellow rock chick here. So many similarities. Really loud music supersedes the senses, and you can lose yourself in it.
Absolutely, Anne.
Lose yourself in it. Yeah, I think that's what she's saying. How do you deal with jealousy? There's one that Teresa's asking, so that could be.
Take a wee note of that. How to deal with jealousy is actually when you're comparing yourself to someone, and I think jealousy comes back to knowing your worth. Mm-hmm. Because I'm holding my hands up. When I was younger, I have been in relationships that have left me feeling really jealous, right? But I would say that was more to do with the fact that I didn't realise my true worth and value at that time. And if I did realise that I deserved better than that situation anyway, where I didn't, I thought I was losing something that was mine, and I was jealous, and I was bitter. But in fact, I shouldn't have been jealous, because it wasn't right for me anyway. But you're in that situation and you're not realising actually that you're worth better because you've got all this jealousy, sort of bitterness, a bitter relationship. But we could look into that, and I could see about doing a wee session around negative emotions like jealousy.
What's your, because I'm interested to figure out what your thoughts are on that, Susan, because jealousy is something that I do not experience, and I never have. My wife, she's a absolutely gorgeous lady. We could be out, not so much now, but when we were a bit younger, we would go out and she'd get lots of male attention, and she'd be like, does that never make you jealous? And I'm like, no, because you're with me. Like, it's not like you're going to go and skip away with him, or other people do things that are similar, and it would be very easy to feel jealous, but it's not a thing that I experience.
Jealousy is insecurity. And so it's an insecurity within yourself, isn't it? Because everything you feel is inward. to do with the world outside. So if you think that you're feeling jealous and insecure, it's that situation with whatever it is, it'd be triggering that sense of insecurity and that sense of feeling not good enough. But it's not really what's happening in the outside world, it's the belief inside yourself that you're not good enough and not feeling safe and not knowing your value or worth. That's actually the issue. The jealousy is the knock-on effect of that. So you, Stephen, feeling quite comfortable with who you are, you're actually really knowing your value, knowing your worth. You didn't feel jealous because you're comfortable in your own skin, if that makes sense, with who you are. But if you've got any doubts about that, that's when it's...
Yeah. There's been a situation that has happened, I know you know about it, a couple of weeks ago, where it was something that it didn't make me jealous, it just made me like question, why would you do that? You know, question that person's motives, I suppose, but I certainly didn't feel jealousy. I think that's probably the closest to feeling jealous I've ever felt.
I know the situation, I'm not going to go into that at all, but I don't think that was jealousy. I think it was actually more verging on disappointment and wondering about someone else's behaviours. That's different for jealousy.
Yeah, I suppose. So I've not experienced jealousy, so I'm not even going to go there.
I used to be a right jealous person. And not jealous of other people, but I've been in situations and relationships. But in fact, that I've been really jealous. But in fact, the relationships weren't right anyway. The relationships were doomed to end. So the jealousy was actually the fact that I knew inside me that relationship was doomed, and it was my own insecurity that was coming out in that, because I was scared to be alone again, if that makes sense. And it was coming out in these jealous feelings.
And is it normal for people not to feel jealous?
Yeah.
Is that something that you've came across quite a lot, that people actually don't experience jealousy? Or other people's jealousy? There's one for you. Teresa saying other people.
Well, other people's jealousy is their own insecurities. The fact that they don't feel safe at all. It's their own fears. It's their own fears. So
it could just be if someone's experiencing those emotions of jealousy that they just maybe need your reassurance, don't they?
Or I'm just saying there's another side to that. For example, I'm in another relationship I had, which was a very toxic relationship, and it was very controlling, and it was an abusive relationship where that person's behaviours came across as being jealous with me, but in fact it wasn't. It's because if I was going out, I was going out. I was not allowing him to control. It was being demonstrated as if he was jealous, but it wasn't. What I was doing was I was showing him he couldn't control me. It was actually another form of anger and rage, but it was coming out like jealousy. Or it could have been read as jealousy, but in fact it was quite abusive. They wanted to control me. I'm not talking about going out dancing or going to the pub, I'm talking about going to the shops for a loaf of bread. And it was not major. So it was like an abusive control thing. But he really didn't like that. He used to time me how long I took to go for bread. So you would think that was jealousy, but it wasn't. It was the control factor.
Yeah.
Quite complicated. It depends on individuals, and it's quite, well, I think it all comes down to, because even control, somebody who wants to control so much must have a fear and must have an insecurity. So I guess it all comes down to fear, insecurity, and not feeling safe in who they are, really. But it doesn't mean that that behaviour is acceptable, because jealousy is quite it's a really negative feeling. It's quite a destructive feeling, emotion for everybody.
And saying there that she also had the controlling situation. It's an act of rebellion to not remain under the yoke.
No.
I wasn't even allowed to go to phone my mum from the local phone box.
Yeah. I think we've lived a similar life, Anne.
The rock chicks, the
music got us through it.
Teresa's saying there that explains a lot. And Claire's answered our question. It's Mumford and Sons.
There you are. Thank you, Claire. I've heard the Mumford and Sons.
Mumford and Sons, and what was it?
Little tiger, little lion something.
Mumford and Sons, Little Lion Man.
That's a little lion, man. So this has been a really good session. It's been nice and relaxed. We've covered a lot. Been quite a bit of chat. Really enjoyed it. It's been really good.
Yeah, it's been great, and that's us at time. Would you believe? Crazy. We've got right through, and we're at time already. This is crazy. So, Susan will be back on Monday. We will share with you the content and what we're going to speak about on Monday. We've got the whole weekend to think about that and put that in. So I'm trying my best to do little promotional videos on our up and coming guests. But as many of you can understand, there's a lot that goes into recording a video, editing a video, and putting that video out there. So I am trying my best to get that stuff put up. However, if we don't, we'll do a wee post and just share what we're going to be doing. Also, as well, guys, very quickly, we are doing social Saturdays for anybody who's not aware of that. So every Saturday, what we do is we share local businesses who are going through, difficult times, which I suppose every local business is, or who are going through periods of growth, or who just simply want to have a little bit of promotion. So what we do is social Saturdays, where we ask you to share your own business, what you do, what you sell, what your service is. But equally, if you know of any businesses out there who are doing amazing things in the community and who you would like to get a wee shout out on our social Saturdays, please do send me a wee message and let me know so I can help to promote their stuff. We had last week the Lynch Box in West Calder, where we were sharing their business page. And so please do let us know, because we really want to help and share and get as much traffic to other people's small businesses as we possibly can during these tough times. Like I say, Susan has got her Perfect Solutions Coaching Facebook page. Do you think I can get it out there? Perfect Solutions Facebook page, where she's running a 5-day challenge for anybody who wants to go along and see that as well, and be part of that. Most definitely. You've also got Susan's YouTube channel there as well. That's scrolling across the bottom of the screen, which is at Perfect Solutions Coaching, where she's got a mirage of videos that will help you to self-regulate, to really help yourself if you're feeling a little bit down.
There's also Heal a Broken Heart if anybody's suffering from any loss or bereavement or just grief, feeling detached.
I'm just trying to find.
That's a good page for people as well.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it because we did have it up here. Where is it?
Healing a Broken Heart. That's what it's called.
There we go. Healing a Broken Heart Facebook page. So go on, and that's it's a non-interactive Facebook page, but it's just giving you lots of help and support.
Yeah.
And for anybody who doesn't know as well, Susan is our at the Soul Man and Friends. She is our
Grief and Compassion Coach.
Grief and Compassion Coach. Just checking that you were aware of that, Susan, you know.
Yeah. Now, I'll also be offering that service. Actually is free for people at the Soul Man. And I'll also say that I've opened that up to Stephen now that I'm trained in this method to work with depression. I've said that I'll also give that to the Soul Man on the Fridays for free as well, if anyone needs that helping hand.
How amazing is Susan Watson the way? Like and she's also, like we've said before as well, Susan's also very kindly agreed that she's going to be with us on a Monday, a Tuesday, a Wednesday, a Thursday at the Soul Man and Friends, which is amazing. So thank you so much for agreeing to that, Susan.
That's never going to happen. I need to run my own business.
So everybody, thank you so much from Susan and myself. We're going to have a wee quick chat after the surgery. Backstage, honestly, see if you could be a fly on the wall with our conversations after. It's so funny, or before.
I know.
So thank you so much, Susan, for everything today, and we will see you on Monday. And for everybody else, have an absolutely fantastic weekend, and go out and enjoy the sun today, along with the snow. Take care, everybody. Bye. For now. Bye.